In the previous video, I presented a brief overview of the field we call education. This introduction included a snapshot of some of the disciplines and theories that make up this field. In this presentation, I'll discuss how philosophers and theorists, since the time of Aristotle and Plato, have created a plethora of different approaches to education, identified in the text as education formations. Put simply, an education formation is an approach to education informed by specific theoretical and/or philosophical standpoints. For example, Maria Montessori, a medical practitioner, developed an approach to education based on her knowledge of and extensive experience with working with developmentally delayed children. Paulo Freire worked as an educator and political activist. And this work gave rise to an emancipatory approach to education called critical pedagogy. Recent advances in technology have facilitated a pedagogy that impacts on your learning in this course. Other approaches, such as direct instruction, you'll be familiar with based on your school experiences. Few of you will probably have had direct experience, though, with the formation called environmental education. Once again, and in the interest of brevity, I'm going to break down the complexity of the concept of educational formations by drawing your attention to two significant and contrasting formations. These are progressive education and mass education. The first, progressive education, focuses on the interests and previous experience or knowledge of the individual learner. From this standpoint, education is democratic, differentiated, and negotiated. It is a process aimed at moving the learner from the known to the unknown. This process is informed by the interests and needs of the learner and in consideration of the context in which it's taking place. Philosophies underpinning progressive education are universally focused on transformation. As such, this educational formation activates practical or critical interests and aims and rejects or critiques technical generic interests and aims. Some of the better known progressive educators include John Dewey, who's sometimes referred to as the father of progressive education. His philosophy of education as a negotiated, vivid and authentic process where educators have autonomy to shape learning experiences around the particular needs of children and groups is well known within the field. Similarly, Maria Montessori's philosophy of education emphasises the development of the whole child through self and peer motivation. Paulo Freire's approach to education, as I said before, called critical pedagogy, seeks to transform oppressive structures that perpetuate inequality and marginalisation. The second significant formation I'm highlighting here as a source of tensions within the field is mass education. The formation known as mass education is informed by scientific research, resulting in applied approaches to education that primarily focus on the acquisition of skills and knowledge. The ultimate aim of mass education is to generate a workforce and foster good citizenship. In contrast to progressive formations, mass education approaches apply universal goals to education in order to remain competitive within the global market and global economy. Mass education is orientated to the achievement of specified outcomes measured through assessment and evaluation regimes. As such, this formation privileges technical interests and aims. Edward Thorndike, an American psychologist, applied scientific methods such as operant conditioning to education. Similarly, B.F. Skinner, also an American psychologist, applied a behaviourist lens to his view of education, stating that it has two purposes. First, to teach repertoires of both non-verbal and verbal behaviour, and two, to encourage students to display an interest in instruction. Skinner's technical or scientific approach to education is most clearly evidenced in a book he wrote titled The Technology of Teaching. Ralph Tyler was an American educator who worked in the field of assessment and evaluation. His work, detailing the basic principles of curriculum instruction, include the use of instructional objectives and outcomes and evaluation regimes. These have been widely employed in mass education formations. In conclusion, it has been said that to understand the tensions in our education today, one must understand that Thorndike won and Dewey lost, meaning Thorndike's ideas about education were more widely adopted and that Dewey's have largely been forgotten. In the next video, you'll hear from 3 educators, Kayleen, Travis and Lynette, as they share their reasons for choosing to become educators.